Bare naked. Bare naked. Bare naked. ABCs. Welcome to the Bare Naked ABCs, where we discuss every single Bare Naked Lady song from 7 to Y. And I tried to come up with I tried to start the pun for the show tonight. I really worked, and I just wasn't able to do it. Sometimes it's just hard to do. Oh, there we go. I got it. All right, cool. Well, Betsy, were you able to come up with a pun for the show?
A pun for the show?
Yeah, to start us off.
No, I couldn't reach an apogee of puns.
No. Well, Trevor, you've been here a number of times. Do you have a good pun for this week?
I do not. I usually leave that to you. I didn't know that was a requirement.
Yeah. Pun Master Flex.
It's just such a hard job.
It is hard to do.
It is. So this week we'll be discussing the song "Hard to Do," which was on, well, it was on the vinyl of In Flight, but available absolutely nowhere else unless you know someone that owns the vinyl. If you haven't heard this song before, here is a quick snippet.
It was hard to do. In fact, it scared me half to death. If I wanted an apology, I'm glad I didn't hold my breath.
And Trevor, thank you for sharing this, because otherwise I would have had no way of listening to this, because I do not own a record player, even though I'm older than that. Yeah.
I have 3. I can float you one. It's portable.
I was happy to do it. Asking to get these songs, it made me figure out how to record from my record player. So thank you for teaching me how to do that.
Well, that's great. I'm glad that you were able to figure that out.
Took a few attempts. It was hard to do.
Oh, there it is again.
They haven't even put it up on YouTube yet. I
can't.
don't know.
Yeah, I can't find it online. I was trying to listen to it online to prepare, but I couldn't find anything.
No, it's nowhere.
So, fortunately, you attached it, and I could just pilfer off of that copy, but boy.
Yeah, if you're trying to find this song online, it's hard to do.
It's hard to do. Very good. Yep.
I'm going to work that in as many times as I can this week.
Please don't.
You know he will.
Yeah, you can and you will and you do. Trevor can because he's the guest. Guest gets away with anything.
That's right.
Well, speaking of the guest getting away with anything, Trevor, can you give us a breakdown for this song?
I can. And I will, and I do right now. So this song, I don't know beats per minute, things like that, but I can give you the chords and the sort of the order thing. So it starts with an intro, and the chords are F, C, G, A minor. It does that twice. Then we get to the verse. The chords are F, C, G, F, C, A minor, G, F, G, A minor, and then that repeats. And in all the verses, I'm assuming it's Ed, was doing a technique on the guitar called palm muting. So you hear a lot of that in the verses. Then we get to the then there's an interlude, the same as the intro. Verse 2, same as verse 1. Chorus has the same chords as that intro and interlude. So it's an F, C, G, A minor, and that's repeated each time. So there's 4 of those. Then verse 3, chorus again. And then what's interesting about the song is we actually end on the bridge. So it's F, G, A minor, C. He repeats the last line again at the end of the bridge, but the chords go with the bridge chords, not the chorus chords. And then we do have that outro, which is slightly different than the intro. It's an F, C, G, A minor, then just an F, and it ends on the C. So it's like that section gets sort of cut in half. But that is the basic breakdown of the song.
Very well done.
Thank you.
And much more simplified than Aaron usually
Well, it's because Aaron's probably better at it.
It wasn't as hard to do.
Oh.
No. 3 can play at that game.
Nicely done.
I felt like the background music in the verses was very Cars inspired.
Oh yeah, I can hear that.
It was hard to do. In fact, it scared me half to death. If I wanted an apology, I'm glad I didn't hold my breath.
The Cars, not Cars the movie.
Movie with Mater.
Or the automobiles.
It just didn't sound like a car in the background.
Yeah, I could see that. I know that on other songs you've mentioned that they've said that was an influence for them on this album. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
If that was sort
I
of
can't
the
remember
feel.
which one, but I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a few weeks ago. And I do love Kevin's voice paired with Ed's during that second verse.
Yeah.
An open mind doesn't mean you have an open heart. And it feels just fine if you suspected it from the start.
Anytime the two of them, they don't have to sing harmony, just the fact that their voices are very different in their timbre and pitch, like blend really well even if they're singing the same note.
Yeah. They seem to effortlessly just fit into each other's nooks and crannies. Like it's a good fit there.
No.
Not in a dirty way, Tracy.
I always liked.
Kind of a gutter.
I don't want to get us off track already, but I always liked Kevin's voice paired with Steven's voice. Whenever they would sing together, I always thought their voices sounded really nice together.
Kevin's a real chameleon,
Yeah.
though. He just has such an instinct that he knows when to back off and when to step it up. So,
That's true.
but yeah, I agree. That's also a very good pairing.
There aren't many geniuses when it comes to music, but every now and then you find one, and I think that very well describes Kevin, because
Yes.
he can kind of fit into anything that he needs to do.
Kevin, chameleon.
Yeah, and he's really good at knowing like what parts are needed. Like he's not trying to overshadow other people. It's like if they need a little thing in the background, he's good at doing that and knowing what to add little bits to songs and things like that.
There was a track by track on, I guess I heard it on Spotify, where actually Tyler said something similar. Like Kevin has a master's degree in moments. Like he just has this intuition of when to fill in and when to back off, and then to like kind of what vibe to bring to the song to kind of really like give it some more depth and dimension.
It's a really great way of putting that. I like that. He's got a
master's degree in moments. So Tracy, let it rip. I know you're gonna shoot this thing down.
Betsy, you said that I was going to shoot this down.
Yes.
What was your reasoning for that?
Because it's on In Flight.
Yes. By default, it's
There have been some songs on this album I've liked. I mean, granted that they're Jim's songs, and this is totally an Ed song, but
there's a little podcast fairy that whispered in my ear that you were gonna rip into this for some reason. Just an instinct. It's not. It doesn't have a lot of beeps and boops that you don't usually like. It's not.
Nope.
Not really.
No, it sounds a lot like Fog of Writing, which I like. Fog of Writing.
Yeah, it has a stronger intro.
It does have a stronger intro, and then it bleeds into or switches into more of that fog of
kind
writing
of more of
type
the pulse, the kind of pulsing that both of them do.
Yep.
I believe there's a lot of palm muting in that one too. Am I wrong? It's like a guitar sort of style. I think that could be part of it too. Continue going with that, Tracy, but I come back to it because I actually have a different BNL song that I thought this sounded like. But you go with yours first.
Well, so my problem with the song, the trouble with Tracy for the song, because you are right, Betsy. I'm not a fan of this song, and I've grown to like it a little bit more the more times I've listened to it this week. But there is one section of the song that if I could delete it and make it so it never existed, I would be all over that. I would love it.
Okay.
And that's the chorus.
Just the chorus.
Just the chorus. There is something going on with that chorus. The first time I heard it, so going back, and I'm going to jump off track for a moment, but going back to the early days when we were talking about the early songs, there was the last Bare Naked track that was ever written called "Sign Me Up." I believe that's what it was. And they never released it because they said it was just 5 minutes of them screaming into the void. That's what I feel like this chorus is. It's they're not together with their singing. There's something about the way that he's holding his notes that just grates on my nerves. But the thing that really got me is so you Kevin will end a word and Ed is still going on, and then Ed will kick in and Kevin will come in late, and you can just hear them overlapping, but not in a good way on that chorus. And
I know what you mean. I've heard that.
I've been trying to put my fingers to it what it is, but it just sounds like nails on a chalkboard to me.
Do you feel like he's interrupting him or something?
No, I feel like they're not. I hate to say this about B&L. It sounds like a garage band that has never played with each other before, and they don't know when they're coming in and what they have the words in front of them, but they don't know how long they're all going to hold on to a note and hold on to and so they're just clashing with each other on the words.
Programmatic?
Now, do you think it has to do with the fact that this was a vinyl only song and then maybe they didn't spend enough time polishing it like they did the rest of the album?
Maybe, but if that's the case,
I don't know.
If you're gonna put it on
true.
the album or on the vinyl, at least finish it up, because it really doesn't feel like they've finished that chorus up.
Okay, but I think I might be onto something here, because if you're talking about what the song's about, which jury's still kind of out for me. I got maybe one idea, but from what I've heard of this song, listening to it 20 times already, it seems like the relationship is staggered, and so one person's at one point, the other person's at another point, and then maybe there's something there. You giving me a grimace like you don't think it's true, but maybe there's something there.
If so, it still doesn't work for me.
Yeah, you still don't like it, okay.
There are still artistic ways of going about that and making it sound good, but at the same time getting that point across. I don't feel like, if that's what they were aiming for, I don't believe that they succeeded with it.
Okay.
Because it's only off by a fraction of a second. And because of that, it just becomes a cacophony instead of them working together. And the notes that he's choosing, I think, in the chorus as well, that he's holding on to, are just not harmonic, I guess.
They're not higher pitched.
Can you splice it in and do a share screen? Because I think that would be good to reference, where people will be like, oh man, he's lost his mind, I don't know what he's talking about, and then be like, oh, actually, hold on.
Let me do that.
I must have gotten it for Christmas or something. I did end up finding my copy.
Do you have it with you? Because I have a specific vinyl question.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Hold on one second. I'm back and I'm vinyl.
Hooray.
So if you're making faces, I can't tell. I was just telling Trevor, for whatever reason, Zoom, when they decided to change their stuff, has made it so that I am not able to see anyone's faces when I'm sharing screen.
It's more of a when than an if, but yes. I'm almost always making faces at you. Lovingly, of course.
Of course. Of course.
Mwah.
So I'm going to try to fast forward to a spot that I believe that the chorus should be kicking in.
I hear it. Yours was distorted, but that's
it was
a little bit. But I think I hear what you're saying.
But is it like it's the
okay?
That
so
note?
Is it just my recording then?
It might be. It sounded a lot trashier than what I've been listening to.
Again, I had never recorded things before from the vinyl.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Nothing personal.
Okay, so it's not just me then.
Maybe it's because it's through my speakers and everything too. So
no, I'm not blaming anyone, and maybe it is just the quality of the recording. I don't like. The best I have is what I have.
What you sent me sounded good. So maybe it's just like the whole conduits of this and that. So, but no, I heard the shifts that you're talking about. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. On my end, when I listen to it, it's not pleasant.
But is it
to listen to that whole section
because of like the last note that he's holding, that E, like it always seems to be that's the rhyme, right? The wait for me, honestly, I'll never be. Like, is it that like?
It's the notes that he's holding on the B and that's that first and third note that he holds, and I think it's also the distortion that's on it as well.
Because the guitar's kicking in out of that palm muting, right? So they're getting a full distorted guitar at that time too, and that could be part of it. Yep.
And then, of course, with it also at the same time with them not singing on the same, like with them being off beat from each other, it just rankled me. The moment I heard that chorus, I got really angry. The more I listened to it during the week, the less angry I got. But it's still when that came on just a minute ago, goosebumps, but not in the good way. I felt like someone was creeping up from behind me and ready to attack. Yeah, it did not give me pleasant feelings. I hate to say this about BNL. It was a torture to listen to this song this week because of that chorus for me. Yeah.
Now, you had said earlier that it reminded you of Fog of Writing. I know you haven't got to this song yet in the reverse alphabetical, but it sounded to me like the verses, the melody of the verse sounded the same or very similar to me as Clearly Lost, which I know based on what I've heard, you aren't listening to In Flight in all your spare time, but when you get to that one again, I think especially the second and fourth lines of the verses sound a lot like the second and fourth lines of the verses to Clearly Lost.
If I wanted an apology, I'm glad I didn't hold my breath. Before the opening credits roll, we just fade to black.
Okay.
I don't know, the rhythm of it, the way he's singing it, it sounds like I was trying to sing this song this week and I kept mixing it in with Clearly Lost and getting confused. Yeah.
A remix.
I could see that.
I haven't heard the Clearly Lost yet.
I think I see that, and I think you're right. I think the difference for me that makes me really dislike this song and not dislike Clearly Lost is the distortion. And I think that is what takes it to that next level. And I think it's not necessarily any of the components separately. I think it's all of them together at the same time and moment is what does it for me.
Yeah, I can understand that. I don't agree, but I understand what you're saying.
No, and I think that for some people, they'll love this. It's just definitely not my cup of tea. Betsy, what were your thoughts on the music?
I don't know. I still think there might be something there because they're always so programmatic. I think there might be something to the whole like staggered trying to meet up with each other, but they can't quite with the lyrics. So I guess musically, I have to say, like so you sent me the song and you sent me the lyrics, and I read the lyrics first. And based off of, well, I'm talking about lyrics, and you're asking about music, but okay. So let me switch over to music. I liked that it kind of came in hot. Like it just started out really strong. I don't know. Like a lot of the music, I didn't really have anything bad to say about it. It's like the way he's doing the guitar is really like putting a lot of energy into the song, which is a twist from most of this record. Not to be disparaging, but like it has a lot more energy than most of the songs on this record, and so I feel like that energy from the music is really like giving some power to the song and kind of delivering its message. Yeah, and I didn't pick up on the palm muting before, but that's a good call too, because that's what I was hearing like rhythmically as well as like instrumentally. So
Trevor, can you explain that a little bit? What that means to non-musical people such as myself?
Okay, so if you're palm muting, it's a way of playing the guitar. Actually, I meant to bring my guitar into the room tonight for this, and I didn't. Sorry, but it's a way.
Use your imaginary guitar.
My imaginary guitar. So it's a way of playing, strumming the strings where you have like the fleshy part of your hand just sort of resting on the strings, so it sort of mutes them a little bit, so they don't strum and ring completely out, but it's not down enough that it stops all the sound. So it's just like enough to give a little, like you said, the Cars. It's like sort of that, just what I needed, like that, like
more
before that, like that's
more like a pulsing.
Yeah.
And again, not at apogee, like. He's playing it, but he's not pulling it outright, right? So I don't know.
And I would say that's pretty cool. I like that. I like that bit of the playing.
If that's what he's doing.
Why don't we talk a little bit about what the song's about then? Or should we say who the song is about then?
Who do we think it's about?
Who do you
guys? If it's a who, then I'm completely different than your thoughts.
Well, who do you...
So Betsy, you go ahead.
Go ahead.
You go ahead.
Betsy, why don't you start?
He's just been writing so many relationship-y songs about, like, mostly about... It seems to be, like, marriage-heavy. But this didn't feel very marital to me. This... Maybe. It could be. But I just kept thinking about Steve for this as a subject. So, you know... If I wanted an apology, I'm glad I didn't hold my breath, you know. So, like, you know, after they broke up and everything, you know, they did get back together once for that performance. But I don't know. He's admitting it's a little his fault. I mean, that could be his marriage as well. But the test of time is a test that will always fail. I don't know. It just feels like Steve to me. And it's like it kind of sounds like he was doing his best, like he's pitching for a best glide, but he never quite peaked as high as either he wanted to or whoever he's kind of talking about wanted him to. So could be marital, but I'm wondering about Steve. What do you guys think?
Okay, Trevor, I'd be interested to hear your thought.
So I took that a completely different way. And in listening to your podcast about the new albums. Like I don't sit and analyze songs on the regular basis. I only ever do it when I'm on this show. So I don't really think about it. But you've sort of brought up that a lot of this album, the theme seems to be around therapy and like things like that. I think this song is about his plane crash.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
I could see that.
Big crash.
Go ahead.
And the reason I think that one of the things I really like about this song is Ed's choice of wording. I started listening to this band when I was in grade 7, and I learned a lot of new words throughout listening to their song. Like I remember hearing intermittently for the first time, and then going to my dad, I'm like, "What does proxy mean? What is that?" Like I didn't know what that was. I'd never heard it before. So I was like, it sort of feels like old BNL to me, and like, oh, I'm learning new things. And what I learned is the phrase "pitching for best glide" is a piloting airplane phrase. And I took a direct quote from pilotworkshop.com because I knew I'd get it wrong. It says a flat pitch altitude will yield something close to best glide speed in just about every piston single. Raising the nose 2 or 3 more degrees can fine tune it. Once you've found a level pitch altitude, full nose up elevator trim usually keeps it there. Which is a lot more pilot terms I don't really understand. But the point is,
But if you add power, what makes it happen?
right, power makes altitude rise. And then I looked up again. I didn't know apogee either. I never heard that word. So it has 2 meanings. One of them is in astronomy, which is the point in orbit of the moon or satellite at which it is furthest from the Earth. So then I thought, okay, maybe this is about flying because I know Ed flies. But then the more I looked into the words, the more I thought this is like him finally reflecting on and sort of coming to terms with his plane crash, which was back in 2008. Am I correct? Okay. And then I went and I don't know if you remember, I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago now, Ed was a guest on the podcast Mayim Bialik's Breakdown. And in that, am I taking all your notes, Tracy? Sorry.
No, go right ahead.
Okay. In that, he talked all about the plane crash, and she asked him about it, and he said that after it happened, he like this immense guilt and kept blaming himself. And for about a week or so, he kept waking up in the night thinking, oh, maybe this is what I did wrong. And he said he crashed really close to his lake house. So he'd actually go out in the woods at night with like a headlamp on and go back to the wreckage because it hadn't been taken away yet. And he'd look and like, he'd say, oh, I thought I did this wrong. He'd look at it and say, no, that was right. And like for about a full week, he did this. And so I think, like I said, looking at all the words, like if I wanted apology, I'm glad I didn't hold my breath. I think that's for himself. So he kept blaming himself for this. I wanted to be honest and admit it was a little my fault. He kept trying to find reasons. And like even the insurance guy said to him, I've interviewed your instructors. I've interviewed the people you fuel up with. They all said you're a really good pilot. You had an accident. It's okay. Everybody walked away. You did everything you should have done when things went bad. You're a good pilot. And in that interview, he even said he tried to like forgive himself. And this is a direct quote. And I got all excited. And he said it. He said, but that was really hard to do.
Ah.
Like, so that's it.
You're like ding, 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 ding.
So and there's other, like, I don't know, an open mind doesn't mean you have an open heart. Like, even though he was told all this, he still didn't believe it in his heart. And I think the whole third verse is about him trying to fly again after that. Inside us all, there's a whisper saying, don't give in. So he's like, don't give in to this. You can fly again. But a louder voice says, what are you thinking? Don't even begin. Like, it took him a while to get back into a plane. I don't know. That was my read on it. And if I'm right, then why was this not included in every version of an album called In Flight?
Right? Makes no sense.
Makes no sense.
Make it make sense. Man.
And,
that's you know, right on the nose, so to speak.
And I think you're correct. If this is what you're saying it's about, like, that would explain where they came up with the name for this album. or at least partially. Like, I think a lot of it also is like they are in flight in terms of their lives. They are still kind of in flight in terms of touring. They're in flight in terms of where life is. They're still in the middle of the flight. They're not descending. They're not ascending. They're kind of just still in flight
at a cruising altitude. Yep.
But yeah, like, why wouldn't you keep this on the album? I think, again, it's that chorus. I think the chorus was not finished, and they wanted to release it. And
But they've done that before. Like, Kevin wrote a song called "All in Good Time" that didn't make it to the official version of "All in Good Time" as well, right? That was on.
Yes.
I don't know if that was on a vinyl as well, or
I
some
love that song.
extra bonus
Yeah,
something. I love it too. But again, I don't know. This seems to be a theme with them, that they like to put a song or two on just the vinyl release. And do you think that's making more people buy the vinyl? Like, I would have bought the vinyl regardless.
Right.
I don't think it is.
Like, I don't think it is either. So I don't know. Like, I was completely wrong. I guess you haven't given your score yet. But I was coming here prepared to say that I assumed you would like this album better, Tracy, if the 2 bonus songs were on every version. Because I know you like to make yourself uncomfortable. Like, you rated that fairly well.
I wouldn't. It wouldn't make the album stronger for me if this were on it. But again, only because of that chorus. If you make that chorus, if you change the chorus, yeah, I would totally like it. And it's not the words; it's just the way that it's produced, I think. And if they play this in concert, I don't think you're going to see them playing it in concert the way that it sounds on the album. I would love. I don't think it would improve the album to include on it because of the chorus. But once again, if they changed everything in terms of musicality, or changed even 1 or 2 things musically about that in that chorus, then I would like it. I like the words, and I see kind of where he's going. I see where you're going with it. I have 2 other takes on that possibility.
Whoa.
Go for it.
One, I think that I think that taking that analogy, and that meaning, I should say, I would say that it's more about him accepting his own apology, or accepting being kinder to himself. That's what this is. Like, it's the hard part for him to do is to not apologize to himself, but to accept it, to give himself some grace on that,
not to be so hard on himself,
and to do that scared him half to death. Waiting for that, he can't apologize. He can't accept that apology from himself. He can't even give himself that apology. But he can't. I think really what it comes down to is he can't accept that apology. I do like the fact that he puts feeling stalled in there, because what a great analogy to throw in there. And again, I think if I want to be honest, I have to admit it's a little my fault. Again, the reason I think that it's about him accepting his own apology and accepting the fact that he didn't have any fault in it, that it was a complete mechanical error, a complete twist of fate that he had no control over, is because of that, because he was completely giving himself the fault in it. He was beating himself up.
Yeah.
And
well, it's scary too.
I think what he's saying when he says, I have to admit it was a little my fault, was that it was a little my fault that I wasn't letting go of this.
Yeah.
An open mind doesn't mean you have an open heart. Yeah, people were telling him, and intellectually he knew that it wasn't his fault, that he did everything he could, but it doesn't mean that he was ready to accept it.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's sometimes enough to say that we live to tell the tale.
Yeah, I like that line too.
Like, again, he did live to tell the tale, and so did everyone else that was in the plane, and that's good enough, but it didn't feel good enough to him.
Yeah, it's like kind of like a skewed version of survivor's guilt, only everybody survived.
Yeah.
Except for the plane.
Yep. So yeah, I definitely could see that, and that makes a lot of sense, especially when we're coming back to the second verse. Inside of us all, there's a whisper saying, "Don't give in, don't give in to that
guilt,
like apology. Don't give in to that. The other people are saying that you did nothing wrong. Don't give in to that. This was all your fault."
Well, I mean, it's a risky kind of hobby, and he knew that going in, and. Look at what happened to John Denver. Poor guy. Big sweetheart. And then, he just... those little planes are scary.
Mm-hmm.
So, little Cessnas. I don't know if he has a Cessna or what he drives. What he flies. But, yikes.
I hadn't thought of it that way, Trevor, and I love that take on it. Reading it, I definitely think that actually is probably what he was going with. I will tell you what my first thought was, and after your thoughts, I think I was wrong, but it wasn't my first thought on what this was. My first thought, going back again to that Mayim Bialik podcast, is I thought this was about him and his dad, which several other songs on this album have been about. And now my computer has decided to flip off the definition. There we go. The lyrics. I had thought this was another talk about his dad, and he was using the flying as analogies, but that was all it was. It was hard to do. In fact, it scared me half to death. If I wanted an apology, I'm glad I didn't hold my breath. He talked much in that podcast about he never really got an apology from his dad. He more at some point just had to. I love that the therapist said to him, like, just because you had bad parenting doesn't mean you have to be a bad son.
Yeah, I remember him saying that too. Yeah, and that really resonated. I think that was a really good line. It obviously meant a lot to him. It's an amazing point. Yeah,
and he doesn't need to wait for an apology because dad might never get there. And he doesn't holding his breath for that doesn't mean that he can't go on and move on and heal. And of course, before that point, he was stumbling. He was feeling stalled. He felt like he was stalling in life in terms of his growth and being able to accept things. And then admitting that it was a little his fault that he was having this problem with his dad because he wasn't letting go of it and kind of forgiving and not moving on. And then an open mind doesn't mean you have an open heart. He knew intellectually, again, that his dad had these alcoholic problems and was dealing with a lot of stuff, but he hadn't let himself feel that it wasn't his fault.
It's interesting that we all came up with like 5 different versions of this.
And because it's just like a bonus track on the vinyl, we'll never know. Like you said, they don't like. I tried to find videos. I don't think they've played this live. I don't think, unless it's like, and I can't see them doing that unless it's like another like really rare like chips and dips kind of situation where they're picking songs out of a hat, something like that. Because of it just being like a bonus track, I think it's unlikely they'll play it live and they'll talk much about it. Like you said, there was the track by track. Was it this album or the last one that they had a track by track?
They did it for both, but on one of them they did the track by track. On the other one they did the Music Mondays.
Oh yes, yeah.
I think for this one was the track by track, but I can't remember which was which because either way I look it up, it comes up online. Yeah. So,
but I either way, I don't think either of the bonus tracks were part of that. Am I wrong?
They weren't. Yeah.
So we may never really know. But like you said, Bets, I do like that we had so many different reads on it.
And it's good because I think if you write a song where it can have many different reads and still touch people, it's a good song.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
So good song, meaning.
It's like one of my favorite episodes of your show was, I think it was Great Provider, where you had so many different ideas about what it could mean going way back. But like that one still stuck in my mind. Like I really listened to that one like really liked all the different takes on it. So now I'm part of one. Yay.
Yay. One of us.
Betsy, I asked you earlier to get your copy of the vinyl. So I just
yeah.
have like specific.
Which you
I didn't
got?
realize until looking at for this song how different the track listing is on the vinyl versus the CD or the digital or the cassette tape version. Like it's all like normally, like yes, you sort of just shove the songs in, but there's actually a lot of differences. The first half of the album is pretty much the same, but on the CD, track 8 is Too Old. The 8th song on the vinyl is See the Tower.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
They flip those two. Then Too Old is 9, and See the Tower would be 9 on the CD.
Okay, so they flipped 8 and 9 for some reason on the vinyl.
Yeah, then you get the two. I think it has.
Is that a different? Can you open up, Betsy? Have you opened the album?
Yes.
You both have the vinyl. So opening it up, looking at the album proper.
Like the actual, it's 2 vinyl.
At the
discs.
actual album.
Mm-hmm.
What is the first song on the second side?
On the second side is Just Wait.
Just Wait.
Yeah.
So it's 2 vinyl discs, and I assume this has something to do with trying to get them all to fit on 2 discs. So the first, like there's side A, B, C, and D. So there's 2 vinyl discs on it to get it to fit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So walk me through side 1 of disc 1.
Okay, so side A of disc 1 is the same. He's got Love and Life, One Night, Enough Time, and What Do We Need?
Okay.
Side B is almost the same.
Yep.
We've got Just Wait, Waning Moon, 50 for a While, and that's where it changes. We have See the Tower.
Okay. And so I think the reason they flipped that is See the Tower isn't a good song to start off the second album with.
It could be.
So they flipped it with See the Tower is finishing off disc 1 side B, and then Too Old starts off
which was
the new one.
Yeah.
With a much stronger song. So I could see why they flipped that a little bit.
But then it gets like really different. So then you have your Hard to Do and Make Yourself Uncomfortable, the 2 songs that weren't on the CD. But then on the CD, the next track would be Wake Up, but they go to the Dream Hotel.
Yep.
Then side D, you go to Clearly Lost, then Wake Up. So you throw it in there, then I'm Asking You To, and then they do end with the Peace Lady. But why do they not end this? Why do they not end this album with Enough Time? You'll get there. You'll have the discussion when you get to it. But that definitely should have been the ending song on this album based on the last line. But you'll get there. But Betsy, here's my specific question for you.
Maybe they're piecing out.
Does your Peace Lady have the wrong number? Mine does. Mine says 14 instead of 4.
Yeah,
because
it does.
It would have been 14 on the CD. I think they just weren't paying attention enough.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 14.
14. Yeah.
They forgot to change it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, it's definitely 14.
All right. I wasn't sure if I had like a weird misprint or something,
No,
but that must be on all of them.
Definitely 14.
Okay.
Huh. And I think you had it right. They were going down through it really quickly, like, and saw the 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there we go. Yep, and it was 14 still.
And I didn't notice until this week when I was like really looking at it for this podcast.
So Too Old, then the 2 new ones, and then they went to Clearly Lost.
No, then they go to Dream Hotel.
Lost. Dream Hotel.
They switch it up.
Okay, so they're ending they end 3 of the different sides with Kevin. 3 of the 4 sides.
Oh, that's true.
They end with Kevin.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because he's like a closer, I guess. He's like, let's just all chill out, and he's not.
Although I agree with you, Enough Time would be a much better way to end that piece.
Yeah, it would be sweeter.
Not that I have anything against Peace Lady. I just think the last line of that song, and again, I'm jumping several episodes ahead, but you'll get there. It'll make sense.
Right, yeah, so, wait, Betsy, did you have something that you wanted to add in there?
No, I was done.
Oh, okay, I thought you said you had something still.
No.
All right.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Pantheon Podcast CEO Christian Swain here. Today, let's talk about self-care and those non-negotiables that keep us grounded. What are yours? Whether it's a committed workout routine or dedicated therapy day, these rituals are vital, especially when life gets hectic. Therapy has been a game changer for me, offering powerful coping tools for anyone wanting to boost their mental health, not just those with trauma. It helps set boundaries, challenge negative thoughts, and promotes personal growth. I've been using BetterHelp for months now, and it's made a real difference. If you're considering therapy, check out BetterHelp. It's entirely online, convenient, and flexible. Just fill out a quick questionnaire, and you'll be matched with a licensed therapist. Plus, you can switch therapists anytime at no extra cost. Don't skip your therapy day. Visit betterhelp.com/Pantheon for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Pantheon. Self-care isn't a luxury, it's a necessity.
So what should we give this for a rating scale this week?
Applebee's?
Ooh.
Apple.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that thought of that.
Did you think of Applebee's?
I did.
I'll
I thought for
never
sure.
be at Applebee's.
See, I thought I'll never
let's make-
eat at
Eat
Applebee's.
Let's call it Applebee's, guys. Or Applebee's.
Jeff, we know you listen. Make a parody.
Yes, I know. That'd be so good.
Applebee's, we know you listen. Come
Yeah.
on.
Give us some appetizers, whatever you want.
Yes, we would love your ad money.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with Applebee's.
like the
How many Applebee's would we give this? Betsy, go ahead. I'm going to have you go first since you're the only one other than myself here tonight.
That's not true. Trevor's here too.
Well, I mean of the regular
but-
cast.
I only kind of count. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. When I first listened to this and like the stark contrast because of what I thought it was going to be, like I said earlier, based off the lyrics, I thought it was going to be like really sweet and mellow, and it's just like kind of more in your face and kind of almost like adventurous and driven. That sent my hackles up for some reason, but the more I listened to it for what it was, the more I liked it. So I think that maybe I would give it 3.7 Applebee's.
So your advice to people is that they've got to be patient.
Got to
with
be
this song.
patient. Show
Okay.
the world. I can't remember how the rest of it goes. something about inebriation.
Trevor, what about you?
Well, first I'm smelling a segue.
Yes. They see him rolling on a Segway.
I don't know. I struggled with this one because I think the more I listened to it, the more I liked it, and the more I dug into the lyrics and sort of figured out what I thought he was singing about, I liked it more and more. But again, I think I wish they just put everything on the album anyway. Like I think, especially digital, you're not limited by like I don't know if maybe they couldn't fit 2 more on the CD, but I think at least digitally they should have just put all the songs anyway, or if they didn't want it on that one, hold on to it, and then you have another song for another album, like come back to it. I don't know. But I like the song, I really do. And I was actually pretty close to your score, Betsy. I'm going to give it a 3.75 Judd Apatow's, or what is it?
Applebee's. Effigies.
It's a different song.
Although I do like the Judd
yes.
Apatow's. Judd Apatow, we know you listen to.
Come on the
I'm
show.
sure.
Yes.
Send us a direct message there, Judd Apatow.
I am struggling with this week's score.
I know you're drinking the Haterade.
Oh, I'm drinking the Haterade. Oh, yeah. Here's my problem. I love the lyrics. And I would say that the majority of the song, I like the music. However, that chorus is so... Again, it sounds like nails on a chalkboard to me. And it rankles me so badly that I have to let that show on my numbers too. If things were fixed in the chorus, I'd be probably giving a similar score to what you guys are giving this. But because, like, I have to go with my feelings on this one in terms of how this song made me feel all week long. And it really rankled me. So I hate doing this because I think it's especially with your definition of what this song's about, like your explanation, Trevor. I love this song lyrically a lot. Like, all points lyrically for this song.
So it's at least a 2.5.
It would be, but it really, really.
Oh
wow!
I hated
it's less than 2.5.
It is. I have to. I have to bring it into the hate range, and I hate myself for doing it. I have to give it a 1.8.
Wow, that must have been very hard to do.
1.8.
I've got to be patient with myself. Yeah, no, there was a lot of haterade
That's
this
pretty
week.
strong haterade.
Checking it hard, concentrated.
It is.
From
and I
concentrate.
didn't like doing it. I'm gonna have to work really hard on being patient with myself this week and kind.
Yeah.
Because I am not happy with having to give that score. But it just feels correct. It doesn't feel right. It feels correct for me. So.
Well,
Trevor, I'm sorry you had to be on a show where I gave so much haterade.
Maybe you should listen to some Michael Bublé and chill out.
I think I will. I think I will do that all this week.
Yeah,
good idea.
Good.
Yep.
Good idea.
I always love how Bublé's voice mixes with the rest of BNL.
Yep.
So.
Always a good time.
Thank you guys very much for coming
Thank
on
you for having
and
me
talking
back.
with me. Yeah, no, anytime. We would love to have you back. If you're okay with it, I actually want to take that explanation and play that when we get to our album review of this album, because that is an amazing section that we should have in there on the album review discussion.
Sure.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're having that discussion, give the song another chance.
Maybe get in the 2s somewhere.
I will try. How about this? I will listen to it in the order that it is on the vinyl and see if it changes my feelings.
That could make a difference. Like I said, I've said this before when I've been on the show. I'm a big album guy. Like if I'm listening to a song, I don't like to just listen to I'd listen to the whole album. So that might make a difference. Yeah. I don't know.
It might.
Maybe you'll feel better about it. You got to be patient.
Yeah.
Be patient with it.
Well, have a good week away from us. Enjoy your confirmation.
Very nice.
And thanks. That was fun.